Hello everybody and welcome to Spoiler Warning, this time featuring what is apparently a de-interlaced video which hopefully won't have the same drama that we had previously. How is everybody doing? I will mute that. Hopefully all doing good because we have plenty of news to talk about today. In today's video we will be talking about the plans for Brock Lesnar going forwards, where Ronda Rousey has vanished to in the last few weeks, The Fiend being dead according to Bray Wyatt, that's the character, not the person behind it. The three lawsuits currently besieging Vince McMahon, potentially with more to come. The rebirth of Nia Jax and the potential of her to be involved going forwards. The Becky versus Bayley feud incoming. The Banger Bros. The Cody Rhodes merch sellout, pretty much instant. And about the women's matches, or the lack thereof, on recent Raw and Smackdown shows. There is a backlash building in the locker room that we need to discuss. So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. Be sure to hit like on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't. Follow if you haven't on Twitch. And let's get started. The first and obviously the top piece of news we have to discuss, first and foremost, before we get to the chat, this is a Q&A stream, don't you worry, is the fact that Vince McMahon is now under the siege of three different lawsuits at once from his own shareholders. So shareholders of the company that he is actively running, they are the ones currently putting him in a position to answer lawsuits. The most recent one is as regards the hush money payments. Shareholders are trying to prevent him from using company funds in future to do exactly the same thing again. There is, as I have said previously, going to be more information coming out, not just from the Wall Street Journal, but from so many other places as regards more that isn't known so far about Vince McMahon and his, let's say, his affairs. Let's just say his affairs. That way you know that I mean money. His affairs obviously means money. That's what we're going to say. One of the lawsuits, the second one in particular, is just because of the fact that Vince McMahon changed the laws to allow himself to take over the company and then changed the laws back again as if it never happened. Now I'm going to be real blunt here. These lawsuits are likely to have absolutely no impact whatsoever on Vince McMahon, on his decision making, on his dealings, on his affairs, on anything that he intends to do. However, the idea is that these will slow down a potential sale. It could be that they are slap suits, it could be anything that potentially slows the situation. That is the intention, that is the plan, and it will ensure that these shareholders get their money's worth if they will stop, from Vince's side, attacking him. Now, from Vince's camp, the frustration is clear. Vince is not happy that these lawsuits are happening. However, he does believe that he will win them without any real question. His issue, and what he is saying to these shareholders, is that if they were less likely to throw lawsuits at him, the shares would be worth more and they would all stand to become a lot richer. There are a couple of shareholders who do not want the company sold, either to particular companies, or they simply do not want to sell their shares while their shares are still making them a lot of money. Three lawsuits actively ongoing against Vince McMahon as we speak. First thing I want to say, Traffic, thank you very kindly for your super chat, just as it's come up there. Thank you very kindly for that. I do appreciate it. It really does make a big difference to the growth of the channel, the advertisement of the channel. YouTube feeds this channel based on engagement. So how many people are in the room? How many people are chatting? How many people are donating? So Traffic, that's your second one in a few days. I very much appreciate it. Quite a few people are already here in the chat. We have Bailey, we have Spider Boss on the Twitch side, and plenty more already jumping in. We have Brad, we have Eric, we have Steve, we have Raymond, we have David. Hello, David. Hello, Raymond. In the YouTube side already, Steve said, did Vince run out of hush money? The lawsuit is an attempt to control his use of company funds, which, to be fair, it's about time something happened to try and stop him from spending all the money. Jane is asking about Mercedes Moné news. There is no news. There is absolutely nothing. Her next match will be at the Valley. Battle of the Valley, I believe it is. Other than that, she's just enjoying life. That's all I can really tell you. Jonathan Rodriguez says, good evening. Hello, Jonathan. Cam says, hey, Tom. Hello, Cam. Justin says, any word on Doudrop returning at the Rumble? She's in San Antonio, giving interviews with Denise Salcedo, basically confirmed G to G and hinted she could very well be in. She was doing interviews with a lot more people as well, including some friends of mine. Ricky Chino, if you're aware of him, someone I very much recommend that people check out. I'm confident that Doudrop will be in the Royal Rumble this year in a slightly new mode for Doudrop, a slightly new incarnation that I'm honestly quite looking forward to seeing. Spiderball says, I didn't get the point of the segment between Charlotte and Bianca. I thought they were going to announce a women's unification title match. The point of the segment was to make you think they were going to announce a women's unification match, because then you know even less about who's winning the Royal Rumble. Spiderball says, as far as I remember, Ronda Rousey said on her YouTube channel that she wanted to go for the women's tag team titles. She did say that, yes. Christoph says, hi Tom, welcome. Eric says, how can you watch Battle at the Valley? Easy, you sign up to New Japan World and you'll be able to watch it live or on catch-up. Ken, welcome. Says, what do higher-ups think of Alexa Bliss? They think she's a good wrestler, a good character, and she's someone you can trust with a championship. Now, obviously, different higher-ups have different opinions, but you get what I'm saying. Jonathan says, on AXS TV. Oh, is that an option? I was not aware of that. Daz, welcome. Says, Tom, do you think we get a clue tonight who Uncle Howdy is? Nope. All of the attention right now is as regards Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. Anything Uncle Howdy does will be in service of that storyline rather than in service of his own storyline. Eric is pissed they cut the cage match. You are not alone. There are several people in WWE who are not best pleased with it. FDR says, hello Tom. Hi all. Hope everyone is having a good day so far. I am, thank you FDR. Welcome to the show. Edward Brooks says, hi Tom. Happy Rumble Eve. I'm excited, but I really do not like repeat winners, so I hope that isn't the case. I really want Bayley or Rhea to win tomorrow. From what I can tell, there isn't much of an appetite for a repeat winner. Cody, still the favourite for the men's. Rhea is currently the favourite for the women's. Becky, very much still one of the favourites, but we'll know tomorrow. Spiderball says, how many lawsuits could make Vince retire for good? It depends, one, if they're won, and two, if they're good. One good one will take him down. However, it needs to be real good. Christoph says, Vince has intended to always get away with everything. Do you think he will get away again this time? Yeah. Ray says, I saw you on SCW podcast, giving great opinions. Thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate that. I was on Steve's podcast, his YouTube channel, about an hour ago, doing a little bit of double duty tonight to try and secure us a bit of a raid. And honestly, to just be on Steve's YouTube channel. I've been on there a few times and I have a great time there. At some point, I have to make sure that we're able to get involved together and have like a big ensemble show. It'd be great. Justin says, with certain wrestlers, do you see WWE going the Cody route with branding, like American Nightmare was 100 times better than anything they can do, and now it's a huge part of the WWE vehicle? I could do, however, they will still try to make their own branding work first. Justin also said, with some stars, like 7-star FTR and Matt Cardona, I can see a strong desire to keep branding as a deal breaker versus reverting to the Revival and Zack Ryder. Potentially, yes, however, that's not long-term commitment. They're not really sure what they're going to get if they come back. Venom says, hi Tom. Hello Venom. Code says, hi Tom. If you watched Bray Wyatt's out-of-character interview, it was very good. Talked about how he was after getting fired, The Fiend being dead, and how this is a more fluid and different character. I have watched some of it. What I will say is, despite the fact that it's called out of character, he was very much in character. That was very much kayfabe Bray Wyatt speaking. And this brings us quite nicely to another piece of news that we have. As regards Bray Wyatt saying that The Fiend was dead and we would not see it again after it died at WrestleMania at the hands of Alexa Bliss. We have already seen The Fiend again. We saw The Fiend at Extreme Rules, so I'm not sure how true that particular fact may be. Bray Wyatt was speaking in character. I've only seen one out-of-character interview featuring Bray Wyatt. It was with Sam Roberts. It was inside the Elimination Chamber, and I encourage everyone to check it out. New, welcome. Thanks for dropping over. Says Vince McMahon is getting more lawsuits. Yes, he is. He's up to the 3rd so far. Tom Talks Rubbish, welcome mate. Says, do you think we will ever see an I Quit match in WWE again? Yes, absolutely, there will be. There seems to be one at least every year lately. Spider-Boss says, just a question, does WWE doesn't allow the wrestlers to say Sasha Banks on TV? Charlotte didn't mention Sasha is one of her rivals in WWE. The WWE do not say don't say this, don't say that as much as they used to. There was a time when AEW first launched, you were not allowed to say Chris Jericho on anything WWE. That includes up, up, down, down. If, for example, you go back and watch their first season of GM mode, it's really quite entertaining watching them cut out any mention of Chris Jericho and the tag team partner he was with at the time, Christian. Later in the year, this was changed. It was changed by Vince McMahon. At this point in time, they have no issue mentioning Sasha Banks. Charlotte just chose not to. Razar says, is Charlotte going to defend her title at the Royal Rumble? It certainly doesn't seem like it right now, though tonight that may change. It would be a good spot for Sonya Deville if she could be part of it. Venom says, who do you think is more likely to win the Rumble, Sami or Cody? My prediction is Cody. My prediction's been the same since June. Ghost, welcome. Says, hi, Tom and chat. Hope everyone's doing well. Have to ask, what is your opinion on the Bella's comment about the lack of female representation at Raw 30? I think it's pretty fair, to be honest with you. I think the fact that we didn't get a women's match on SmackDown, we are not looking like we're getting a women's match this week SmackDown. It's been a rough ride for the women's divisions recently, which is difficult to believe when you consider the fact that there are so many more of them now than there were. So what's going on there? The rosters have expanded, you might as well take advantage of that. I think it's a very fair comment. I can also say with confidence that the fact that the cage match on Raw was pulled upset quite a few people in the locker room backstage. Not just women, to be clear on that. It upset a lot of men as well, who were very happy that the match was going on and were very excited to watch it. The match, of course, has not happened, will likely be pushed further down the line with a longer-term stream planned for Becky Lynch versus Bayley. So the Becky Lynch versus Bayley feud still has the potential to go all the way to Mania. I did mention earlier that I'm kind of thinking Bayley might be in for a shot winning the Royal Rumble here, though Becky has been the favourite for a long time. Rhea Ripley has overtaken in the last couple of weeks, since a report came out saying that she was going to win it, and a lot of people putting money on that backstage report. If people lost money now, it'd be very, very awkward for them. With this in mind, Becky versus Bayley does have the potential to go all the way to WrestleMania. This was, of course, the pivot that I was talking about quite recently. The original plan for WrestleMania was Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, Becky winning the Rumble and challenging for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That has since changed. Becky versus Bayley is where we are now. They were talking about it for WrestleMania. We'll see how far it goes, but it's nice every now and then to get a report that I made confirmed so smoothly. We have plenty of comments coming in. I want to say a massive thank you for that. We're just about to break our first 100 views of the show, which is good considering we've been live for 13 minutes. Please do make sure you hit the like button. We have 27 likes right now, and we have 75 viewers. Every little does help. If it is your first time here, be sure to hit subscribe. We are going to have a live SmackDown watch party later on today, and of course you do not want to miss our Royal Rumble watch party happening tomorrow. We have 2,057 subscribers. Can you give me free? Cam says Peyton confirmed she was going to be backstage at the Royal Rumble. Does this mean one of the Iconics are in the Rumble? Well, one of them definitely isn't going to be, but I have mentioned previously that Billie Kay is someone that the WWE are interested in bringing back. They wanted the Iconics, but of course only one of them is available right now. They are interested in a return for Billie Kay. I would not be surprised to see her in the Royal Rumble. Ray says, I'm in bed, feeling cold, watching the best show on YouTube. Spoiler warning. Hopefully you're comfortable, mate. Always happy to hear it. Thomas says, hi Tom, hope you've had a good Friday so far. So far so good, absolutely. Austin says, I'm hearing Brock is showing up on SmackDown. Is this true? Brock Lesnar is backstage at SmackDown as we speak. Venom says, do you think Chelsea Green returns at the Rumble? Someone has reported that to be the case. Razar says, do you know what time Battle in the Valley is happening? Is it going to be on the same time as Elimination Chamber since it's on the same day? No, it absolutely will not be, because the time for those events in Japan is very different to the time for those events in America. C-Mac, welcome, says, what's up, Tom? Do you think we see Big E returning at the Rumble? I do not. He's very close to a return at this point in time. He will be returning soon. I suspect the Rumble might be a little bit too soon for him, but I think WrestleMania is quite realistic. Thomas says, do you think Doudrop goes back to using Piper Niven, or will she keep the name Doudrop? At the moment, she is keeping the name Doudrop. Plenty can change. Johnny Mendez, how you doing, mate? This hi, Tom. Hope you're doing well. I might be wrong. I saw people say Vince will take control of creative from the shadows. As a public company, I swear he has to announce any change to any position. He does. He has to announce any change to any position as regards his particular employment. There will be no taking over from the shadows, though, of course, he has been making suggestions to Triple H already. Tom Talks Rubbish said, if Shawn Michaels' back injury never happened, how different do you think his career would have been? I think it would have ended much sooner, because let's face it, at that point in time before his back injury, he himself admits to not being the nicest of people. Michael says, hi Tom. Hello, Michael. Alex says, hey Tom, is number 3 at each Rumble matches a surprise entrant? Yes, in fact, all 30 of the entrants for the Royal Rumble will be surprises. Thank you, Alex. Happy Friday. Michael says, Battle in the Valley is in English on Fight TV. It's in Japanese on New Japan World. Plenty of options there. Thank you, Michael. Ray says, what are you drinking? It is just basically Vimto. Venom says, I don't mind double champs as long as they defend the title separately and have a plan to separate them. They do have a plan to separate them, let's be fair. Austin says, Bo Dallas is in San Antonio. What's your source on that one, Austin? Joey says, hey Tom, do you have any news on this rumoured Stone Cold and Brock Lesnar match? Was this another Vince suggestion? It was a Vince suggestion to have potentially a Stone Cold match at WrestleMania. I have not personally heard that Brock Lesnar was ever considered as a potential for this. The same people saying this are the ones saying that Brock Lesnar was always going to be going against Gunther, which flies in the face of basically everything they're saying. Steve says, hey Tom, assuming Cody Rhodes is winning the Rumble, would you think he wants to re-establish the 27 as a top slot to win, since 30 is now tied with Brock's win last year, or would he want 1 to 10? He would not have any say in what his number would be. I suspect he would be late teens, early 20s. Similar to where Edge was. Thank you, Peter, for lurking. Everything is on the table. Carmelina says, hi Tom, hope you're so good today. I'm good. Thank you very much, Carmelina. Hopefully you are as well. Venom says, do you think The Fiend will come back as a one-off or permanently? I don't think anything is permanent in the wrestling world, but I don't think it'll be a one-off either. Alex Pierce says, the acclaimed theme song started playing in the Royal Rumble Superstore, fans are saying. To be fair, there's quite a few songs that have been playing in the Royal Rumble Superstore that may have been a tribute to a few people who were well deserving of them. Eric Douglas says, what got you into wrestling? Good question. Came downstairs when I was 10 years old. Monday Night Raw was on. There was Kane throwing The Undertaker about. I was in. I stayed because of the ladder match at SummerSlam 1998 between Triple H and The Rock. Spider-Boss says, apart from Ronda or Liv, Charlotte doesn't have any credible opponent on SmackDown. I wholeheartedly agree. John Gillis says, are you excited to see JY in the Rumble? Yes, if that was going to happen. Jordan says, good evening, Tom, and the spoiler warning community. Looking forward to what should be a great weekend of wrestling. It is the Royal Rumble. I'm finally starting to get excited for it. It is the number 1 pay-per-view of the year as far as I am concerned. You don't get a match type like this anywhere else, and that for me is more than enough reason to be excited. That's true, Carlos. I completely forgot about that. Thank you. It's a good point. Venom says, Rumble will be good, but every match is obvious who the winner is, except the Rumbles. And I don't like how they've taken away the element of surprise by having it so obvious Cody is winning. To be fair, the fact that they have announced Cody early is to try and suggest that he's not. Hey, Simon. Spider-Boss says, I think the DX segment took a little longer. I would have loved to see more TV time for Bayley versus Becky cage match. The issue was not the DX segment. The issue was the Bloodline segment. Thomas says, do you think that Naomi has a chance of winning the Royal Rumble? I don't think she's currently with the company. Spider-Boss says, when could we see Io and Dakota defending the women's tag team titles? Whenever required to. They're essentially waiting until closer to WrestleMania to start building storylines to it, but it could happen on any Raw, any SmackDown. Spider-Boss says, the SmackDown women's division was so fine on 2021 and early 2022. What the heck happened? They fired a load of people, basically. Joey says, PWInsider reported that Nia Jax could be a surprise appearance in the Rumble. Hope this isn't true. Have you heard anything on it? So, to sum up everything I've heard as regards Nia Jax, there are rumours, and I know where they've come from, that she will be appearing in the Royal Rumble, but note that PWInsider are not saying she will be in the Royal Rumble, which is unusual for them. They're saying that she could. Triple H, to my knowledge, had no interest in bringing back Nia Jax, so if she is coming back, it is at the behest of Vince McMahon. That's the news on that one. If she does come back, Vince's fingerprints will be all over it. DC says, good day, Tom. Hope you're having a great day. I am, thank you, DC. Welcome. Do you believe, as I do, that the reason there were no women's matches last week is because there are no good storylines for them at the moment? No, I don't agree with that one. Becky versus Bayley, for example, could very easily and very swiftly become a storyline. Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley is waiting to go. They're just not hitting the actual trigger on anything. They're just not doing it. You also could still have plenty between Liv Morgan and anyone else backstage. There are plenty of people. Give me a Liv Morgan versus a Bayley match as an example. You have so many options. Even just for an exhibition match, do something. Just do something. Venom says, the Raw watch party next week. So excited. I can't wait, Tom. Well, it's going to happen, Venom. You be excited for it. JJ says, hey, Tom. Do you see Becky and Bayley getting the cage match since it was cut? Yes, I do. I do suspect the match will still happen, though I don't think it will have the hype. Yes, Simon. Massive Sasha news. She's currently chilling out, waiting for her match in New Japan. Spider-Boss says, could Brock appear on SmackDown tonight? Yes. Christoph says, Roxanne Perez, Indy Hartwell and Zoe Starks are in San Antonio. Good news, although if it hasn't been confirmed yet, if they'll be in the Rumble. All of this is very likely. The WWE are keen to make it very clear Roxanne Perez is a very big deal that we should all be paying attention to. I expect her to have a good showing. Raymond says, being that tonight's SmackDown is a go-home show for the Rumble, do you see Sami finding out what his final test is? If so, do you have opinions on how it might go? Badly. Badly. That's how I feel it might go. Thank you, Michael, for the clarification on the timing for Battle in the Valley. I completely understand why you know better than me on that one. Venom says, how far off are we from Ciampa and Orton returns? A little bit. A lot. Video says, hi Tom, hope you had the best day possible. What to expect from tonight's SmackDown? Tonight's SmackDown is the go-home show. They are trying to really hype up the possibility of anything can happen. We will definitely have tag team matches. We are going to get and find out who is going to be challenging for those tag team championships. It looks like that will be next week on SmackDown, moving towards it. Roman Reigns has a lot to say to Sami Zayn. I expect we're going to see more in that development. Harry says, hi Tom, any news about Edge? Yes, he's expected back very, very soon. Very soon. His days have rolled over. He will be back in action. He needs to start building to something with Finn Balor. There is no plan for a Hell in a Cell match at the Royal Rumble, as so many people told me was definitely going to happen. Simon is very hopeful that Bayley and Liv win the Women's Rumble, which is not possible because you can't have both. Justin says, surprise entrance for the men, Edge, Pat McAfee, Logan Paul. Logan Paul is a definite. He is locked on as far as I can tell. That has been reported since by other people as well. Pat McAfee, I feel confident. It would make no sense to not have him because he does have a wrestling contract. He needs to start doing those dates. Suggests on the women's, Chelsea Green, Lana and Beth Phoenix. Johnny Mendes has got two questions for you, Tom. Do you personally believe Vince will take over creative? No. And do you believe Cody will beat Roman at Mania? Yes. Stuart says, hi Tom, the weekend's building up to be a good one. Simon said, is Cora Jade going to be the surprise next entrant in the Women's Rumble? Alex says, will PCO be in the Rumble? Eric says, you don't think Raquel is a credible threat? No. Christoph says, Big E gave an interview recently. His next check with the doctors will be in March, and he still had some scans to get through. Yes, the Royal Rumble is too soon. WrestleMania is not an impossibility, but he's recovering very well. Venom says, I hope that WWE doesn't get sold to Saudi because the company will lose so many valuable wrestlers and it will mean the end of Tom. Yeah. Simon says, my first wrestling memory is seeing Stone Cold delivering a load of Stone Cold Stunners to Jeff Jarrett, Sergeant Slaughter, others in 1998 on Raw. That was a build-up to the Royal Rumble, as I recall. Leisha Miller, welcome, says, hi Tom. If Naomi pops up at the Royal Rumble, do you think she'll immediately join the Bloodline, and could that help drown out a Sasha chance? No, because that's not a possibility. If she's in a Women's Royal Rumble match, how then does she join the Bloodline, who are in the men's match? John says, Tom, how was cutting the cage match bad? Bayley was going to have a loss. Becky gets beat up and the story continues. Both women were happy with it. That doesn't mean other people were. Also, it was a loss because you don't get to watch a great match between two great performers that could continue to build a feud. Also, there's every possibility that Becky would have taken the loss because of damage control. Steve says, fun fact, the numbers 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21 and 26 have never won the men's rumble. Do we get a first timer tomorrow? Razar says, do you think Rhea Ripley will enter the men's rumble? I would love to see that. Nope. I do not think that's going to happen. If it does happen, it'll be because she's lost the women's, let's be fair. Eric really wants to see Liv versus Lita. Spiderboss says, I think Cody and Sammy will be the last two in the men's rumble. We'll see. Sean says, hello, Tom. Hello, Sean. Chris Leclerc says, I like Roxanne Perez. So do the WWE. Simon says, is Charlotte versus Sonya Smackdown women's title match going to get made for the Rumble PLE or a later Smackdown episode? We'll find out tonight. Dad says, will Roman be on tonight, Tom? I suspect so, yes. It would make no sense for him not to be on the go-home show. After all, Sami Zayn needs to find out what his challenge is. Johnny says, is the draft still scheduled for after Mania? Yes, it is. Venom says, if Rhea does win, it would make sense for her to go after Charlotte to take her revenge, because Charlotte took the NXT title from Rhea, but I don't see that because that would separate Rhea from Judgment Day, potentially, but she could also go on both shows. Bailey says, how many wrestlers do you see Gunter eliminating at the Rumble? 1 or 2? Traffic says, I highly expect a generic route of whoever eliminates Lesnar, that's who he'll face, in which case I expect Bobby Lashley. Talking about the Brock Lesnar plans for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar will be in the Royal Rumble. I mentioned that a while back. He's been on the poster for a long time, waiting for his moment to get as involved as he possibly can for it. Brock Lesnar has been reportedly going to go... Reportedly, Brock Lesnar will be feuding with Gunter going into WrestleMania. However, I still don't see it. I could definitely see something going on between Brock and Gunter at the Royal Rumble. However, Bobby Lashley has a lot of unfinished business, and he is considered one of the top heels on Raw. He recently did have a heel change. Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley is still a feud they want to continue. My suspicion is that's where they're heading for WrestleMania, with Gunter going up against someone else. For example, Drew McIntyre. Speaking of Drew McIntyre, just before we get back to the chat, the WWE were very aware that Banger Bros sounded like Bang Bros, a porn company and a pornographic studio. They were fully aware of what they were doing. What they were trying to do was get extra mainstream exposure is a tough word there, from the company Bang Bros, in an attempt to basically say, hi guys, you all watch porn. Look at these big beefy men. Wouldn't you like to see them wrestle? It's very WWE. It's not going to work. It didn't work. They got a call from a sponsor who was very unhappy with the name and wanted it changed, so they have dropped it. Not necessarily quietly either. Ghost says, as a woman, I believe that WWE had a choice to at least feature more women during the video photo packages and chose not to. The only female legend in attendance was Medusa, who was reduced to 3 words in a poker game. Going over has become common for the Bloodline, but respectfully, other segments could have been slimmed down to give the cage match time. I agree. I completely agree. We didn't need a lot of what we actually saw on Raw. We could have cut a bit of time off some of the matches, trimmed some of the segments. The Bloodline, I get, they are the top act in wrestling right now. You still could have had a cage match, and it didn't need to be a 1-minuter. Sai says, I've no problem with the lack of announced names for either Rumble. Honestly, wouldn't mind if they didn't announce anyone at all. Chaos is part of the gimmick. Leave everything up in the air. I wholeheartedly agree. Venom says, also when someone wins the Rumble slot, if the time they don't go for the opposite brand's champion. Don't understand what you're saying there, Venom. Can you clarify for me? Carmelino, I did forget that Roman was on Jimmy Fallon. That's true. That was only recently announced. JJ says, I'm sorry, Rhea winning the Rumble would be pointless. Haven't really been in any matches like that. It's just been the Judgment Day and her wanting to fight men. Rhea Ripley's actually been in quite a few Royal Rumbles so far. Joey says, do you know if WWE is bringing in any outside talent from other companies for surprise appearances without saying any names? I do not know that. I simply don't know. I've not heard anything about that. From what people are saying to me, it really sounds like what's actually going to happen is they're making them sign contracts, which is very unusual for the WWE. That's not what they do. WWE performers are not employees. No contract would be needed for a one-time thing, especially when they have their own insurance. There's no medical liability. There'd be no need for a contract. So the more I hear this rumour, the less I believe it. Thomas says, if you could only have one surprise entrant in both men's and women's rumbles, who would you have? Jay White and Kyrie. Venom says, I wouldn't mind Cody beating Roman at Mania, just not for both the belts. Then what would be the point? Alex says, hey Tom, I didn't understand what you were saying with your hands about PCO. Oh, right, it's been a little while, Alex. This means everything is on the table. Essentially means I can't commit to anything because who the hell knows? Sean says, I believe Fightful is reporting Indy, Zoe and Roxanne are going to be in the Rumble. They are, yes. Spider-Boss says, great segment of the bloodline of Sami Zayn. Thought the bloodline was going to betray Sami and Jay saved Sami. How many times have you come in here, Spider-Boss, and said, oh, I thought Sami was going to get betrayed? Happens a lot lately. That says, my first wrestling memories when Hogan first won the Rumble. Juan Orozco says, hey Tom, does Tony Khan deserve credit for getting Warner Discovery to honour the Briscoes? Well, it depends, like whether or not you want to give him credit for negotiating with the TV company. Ultimately, it is part of his job to do that. So do you give people credit for doing their job? Or do you think they should just do their job? Personally, I'll give him a bit of credit, yeah. Simon says, did you see Liv's interview with Denise Salcedo yesterday at the Be A Star rally? Nope. Razar says, my first time getting into wrestling was the Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero and Dominic storyline. Quite the intro to WWE. It's also crazy seeing Dominic now fighting Rey. Looking back at Dominic then, knowing what he became, quite an incredible experience. Christoph says, my women's Rumble prediction winner is Becky, runner-up Bayley, Iron Woman Liv. Rhea will be screwed by the Glamazon. The Glamazon I can definitely see getting involved. Simon says, is Doudrop returning at the women's Rumble? She is there, and that seems very likely, yes. Venom says, do you think Bron Breakker loses the NXT title at Vengeance Day next week in the cage match against Grayson Waller? No. Spider-Ball says, which match do you see opening the Royal Rumble, the Lights Out match? One says the picks are Rhea and Cody winning according to the betting odds. Right now, yes. Tomorrow, that may well have changed. Sean says WrestleLamia is saying Stone Cold vs. Brock was pitched for WrestleMania. WrestleLamia does not report exclusive backstage news. I believe they have once. It did not work out well for them. Hello, Wrestling Magic. How are you? Sean says, I saw many fans saying they could have cut Bianca versus Sonya in order to have the cage match. They could have. They chose not to. Simon, what I see happening at WrestleMania is Beth Phoenix and Edge versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. I've said that a few times. Wrestling Magic says, do you think we'll get a Hell in a Cell match at Mania? If yes, who I heard two options, Styles versus Balor or Lesnar versus Lashley. No. Also, who have you heard that from? JJ says, did anyone in the back see the hashtag WWE Women Deserve Better? Yes, many of them. I've addressed that one earlier on in the video as well. Spider-Boss says, Rhea interacting with the Bloodline during the tag team title match was cool to see. Venom says, I meant a lot of the time the Royal Rumble winner doesn't go for the opposite brand's champion. Yes, except for the times that they do. Jay says, do they plan on changing anything with the women? Some gimmicks? I don't understand. Simon, Drew and Sheamus do not currently have a new tag team name. Omega here says, Tom Colohue. And Spider-Boss says, what is next for Austin Theory's USA title reign? More, basically. More of the same. He'll be in the Rumble. He'll start to work out who his feuds are going to be with after that. Omega thinks Tegan Nox is going to win the Royal Rumble. I hate to disagree with you. Venom says, I don't want Cody to win both titles. He only cares about the WWE title. When the belts separated, we could just be passing the same problem we had with Cody on to Roman. Cody is not winning both championships. I've already discussed this at quite length. Code says Mountain Dew press conference right after the Royal Rumble. Might as well make it a pitch black presser. That is a really, really good phrase. Pitch black presser. I like it. I very much like it. Should definitely use it. Christoph says, I agree the women's division should have got more credit on the Raw highlights. I also think the way the Bellas acted was very silly. After all, they were called, well, bigger legends were not. That doesn't mean anything, Christoph. It doesn't mean a damn thing. They may have been called. They can still be annoyed that more representation wasn't there. They can be annoyed that those bigger legends weren't called. I think it's fair. Simon says, I don't want to see Becky versus Charlotte again, especially with both being baby faces now. Okay. Hummingbird says, is it Roman versus Rock or Roman versus Cody? It's Roman versus Cody. That's been the plan for a while. Roman versus The Rock was never booked for this year's WrestleMania. Never. I think Cody Rhodes is winning the Royal Rumble and going on to win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Stuart says, first WWE match was their event held at the Royal Albert Hall, had it recorded off Sky by a friend, but first wrestling was the old 18-month delay stuff of WCW NWA. FDR says, I low-key want a Truth return in the Rumble, only for him to go ahead and try and pin someone in the match. How funny that would have been. It's happened quite a bit now, to be fair. It might have diminishing returns. Razar says, I feel like there has been zero long-term storylines for the women lately. Is WWE aware of this problem and trying to fix it? Yes, they are trying to create storylines for their big names. Wrestling Magic says, Cody for one belt and Sami for the other one. Not going to happen. Thomas says, could we see Roman going against both Cody and Sami for separate belts? We could. We won't. Jay says, what I meant, Tom, was like giving them more time in matches and giving them better stories. They are working on it. They are not working on it as well as they could. Spider-Boss says, I'm still wondering why WWE keeps saying winners of the Rumble matches will main event Mania. Ronda won the last Women's Rumble and didn't main event Mania. True, but that is very much what they say. That's a thing that they say. Bailey says, Becky Lynch was on an interview show today with Kelly Clarkson. When does Becky start looking more to TV and movies? She's already actively doing so. Simon says, who do you think first beats Solo Sikoa? Knowing how this goes, Drew McIntyre. Simon says, any news on Britt Baker's injury? Nope. Christoph says, what is the first Rumble you've watched as a child? 1999 I should say. It was won by Vince McMahon. Very confusing. Sai says, I wonder how they get to Sami declaring for the Rumble. If and when he does, he's putting himself up as a potential challenger. Roman emphasised on Raw that he didn't want him on SmackDown tonight. Sami Zayn will be there on SmackDown tonight, as will the Usos. A lot of people are going to be declaring for the Rumble. The Bloodline will be looking to work together. Right. What news have I not already covered? Got it. The merch for Cody Rhodes was announced a couple of days ago. About a week ago. And sold out immediately. Cody Rhodes is one of the biggest names in the WWE. And the fact that he's been catapulted immediately back to being the top name on WWE Raw should tell you everything that you need to know. If Cody Rhodes does win the Royal Rumble, of course, it's not just about Raw anymore. He will be on both Raw and SmackDown. Regardless of a Royal Rumble win, there are big plans for Cody Rhodes to be the top guy on Raw and in the company in the months to come. Eric says, if Sami and KO take the belts, who do you think take the other belts? I say Priest and Dom. I would imagine the Street Profits, personally, from where we are right now, but that could be a pretty big shuffle. Joey says, do we get the Uncle Howdy reveal at the Rumble? I'm not sure what you mean by reveal. He's not planning to take his mask off because it's very much someone else's storyline right now. One says, I think once Cody wins the WWE title, he'll eventually go back to AEW for 1 year to win the AEW World title. It will complete all the promotions that he won the main title. He cannot compete in AEW for the World title. He made that clear himself. Venom says, if Roman keeps the Universal title past Mania, do you think he drops it at SummerSlam? Potentially, yes. I think there's a cash-in, and I think there are some very good options for it. Hector says, happy Friday, Tom. Hopefully the go-home show for SmackDown is a tad better than Raw 30. Indeed. Spider-Boss says, any DQ ending in the KO versus Solo match? Right, seems most likely yes. I'd imagine we're going to see Sami Zayn attacking Kevin Owens. Ghost says, I'm not even a Bella's fan, but they did make an impact on the women's division. That shouldn't be ignored. I feel it's unfair to blow off the main issue of the women not having enough screen time because the Bella twins were the ones to speak up in the instance. I do feel there is a lot of anger at the Bellas for some reason. Nobody else is talking. Nobody else is defending the women of the WWE right now. They are representing. And honestly, I don't question it. They were huge in the WWE. For a long time, they held the women's division together until the arrival of Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks. They were it. They were all. They were vital to the WWE. And of course, let's not forget the Nikki Bella run after SmackDown and Raw split once again, 2016. Nikki Bella was a huge part of that and an integral part to everything they were trying to do. Simon says, do you see Liv being the Iron Woman of the Women's Royal Rumble? Great question, Simon. Spider-Boss says, does the Usos keep one of the tag titles after Mania? I find that likely, yes. This is why they're introducing the separation now. Dad says, any more news on when the game will be out, Tom? Which game is that? I believe there is a formal release date for 2K23 after all. Carlo says, will Roman wrestle only once at WrestleMania and only for the WWE title? Do you see Roman versus Sami at Elimination Chamber for the Universal title? No and no. My suspicion is that we're at least going to get Roman versus Cody for the WWE Championship. I still think there'll be a double duty. After all, the WWE are trying to get Stone Cold Steve Austin involved. They want double duty for Roman. That is the plan. They want to make sure he wrestles 2 matches if he's going to drop any championships. As regards the idea of Roman versus Sami Elimination Chamber, why? The storyline simply does not lend itself to that yet. Sean says, according to former WWE writer Chris Dunn, Charlotte was the original planned winner for the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble, and Bianca was supposed to be eliminated midway through the match. It was rehearsed with Charlotte winning, but Ryan Ward reminded Vince the importance of making a new star. I'm surprised Vince listened to him. As early as, I believe it was September, I was reporting that Bianca Belair was going to win that year's Royal Rumble and go on to face Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania. If you'd like to know more on that, literally just search Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, Royal Rumble in my Twitter account. So, questions? Spider-Boss says, I'm interested in the 2K23 showcase mode with Cena's best matches. Okay. Code says, if Sami is in the Rumble and he doesn't win it, do you think fans will be disappointed, just given the fact how the Bloodline story is? Sami talked about it in his interview. He just said it wouldn't be a Daniel Bryan 2014 situation. It won't be. Fans will not turn in that regard because you've still got people like Cody. You've still got people like Seth. You've still got good options. Whereas 2014, as soon as Daniel Bryan went out, you knew it was obviously going to be Batista, and people were not happy with Batista. People are happy with Sami Zayn. People are happy with Cody Rhodes. Also, the storyline's been so good that if Sami Zayn gets eliminated, you still kind of expect he's going to do good things. Simon says, do you see Uncle Howdy interfering in the Bianca versus Alexa Raw Women's title match? Nope, because it's a women's match. Will says, whenever Cody wins a title, do you see someone? Roman taking time off after he loses or when the bloodline turns on him. He will be taking time off because he's on a limited day contract and he's able to do so. Junad says, please bro, Royal Rumble date and time. Tomorrow. Midnight UK time, when the pre-show starts. Eric says, isn't one of them the longest champion ever? Roman, yeah. Simon says, do you see Shotzi Aaliyah possibly returning in the Women's Rumble? Aaliyah, yes. Not sure on Shotzi. I've not really had an update on that one yet. Hummingbird is tired of watching Roman as champion. Well, WrestleMania will make you very happy. C-Max says, is The Rock a definite no now for tomorrow? The Rock was never booked to take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. There's so much talk of, oh, he might be a last-minute change. You cannot be a last-minute change. You need to build up your cardio. If it was true, he would have had to have started training a long time ago. I do not expect to see The Rock in the Royal Rumble. Thomas says, if there was a Forbidden Door surprise entrant at the Rumble, who would you see it being? The Forbidden Door was just branding by AEW. There isn't actually any sort of Forbidden Door. If the WWE want people from other companies, they will get them. Simon applauded the Bellas for their excellent defensive remarks in sticking up for the women's division. One says, do you think AJ Lee to AEW is out of the question? Yes, she has no interest in returning to wrestling. Christoph says, what do you think about so many people wanting Sami to win the Rumble? To me, he's not championship material to headline WrestleMania, although I really like him. Strike while the iron is hot. A lot of people said that about Daniel Bryan, for example. I believe he is championship material. I can't see him having a reign the length of Roman Reigns is, and I think he's being very honest about that he can't see it either. Personally, I don't see Sami winning, but I certainly think he'd be a very good winner. I'd be very pleasantly surprised if it did happen. Spider-Boss says, do you think a Hurt Business reunion could help Lashley beat Brock? Could, not necessarily would. I suspect WrestleMania may be a bit of a trouncing. B-School Nick says, do you know why his name is Uncle Howdy? Bo can't be his uncle. Because Bray Wyatt is writing the character, Bo Dallas is acting as the character. Spider-Boss says, does WWE acknowledge Gunther's long title reign as one of the longest title reigns in WWE? Yes. John says, Bianca has hit 300 days as champion. Does she break Becky's record? I think she needs to hold it for 98 days to pass Becky. Don't know. Depends who wins the Rumble and whether or not she loses at WrestleMania. Hector says, I'm so glad that those early Bray rumours about him potentially being a challenger for Roman, especially with what we know now and how his current story is dragged on, he shouldn't be anywhere near that title. There was, of course, discussion about that way back when, but thankfully we have moved on from it. John says, Nikki Bella did say WWE had nothing for them on Raw 30. Simon says, any chance of a Stone Cold return at the Men's Rumble? Very, very unlikely. I don't think a Royal Rumble win would be part of Stone Cold's plan, but I do still think he'd get the match against Roman because, let's face it, they want Roman to do double duty at this point. Let's not forget, we've been talking about it, spoiler warning, for a very long time. A very long time. The idea of double duty has been raised on many occasions since first reported here on Spoiler Warning. Spider-Boss says, I think Bianca is on her way to break all the records established by the 4 Horsewomen. Eric says, I was referring to the Bellas when talking about them being the longest champion ever. Nikki indeed had a very, very long championship run. Not the longest, I don't believe, anymore, but one of. Joey says, I wonder what Zero News will say if The Rock doesn't show up, since he thinks it's 100% happening. Well, to be fair, Zero News did report that The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin would have a stare down at the Royal Rumble. So, as I say, we need to keep track of everything people report so we know whether or not they're credible. I hope you guys are keeping track with exactly what I am doing, after all. Every report I make in Spoiler Warning stays live on this channel. It stays live. So, as a point, make sure to remember what I'm reporting as well so that you can hold me to account if and when I get something wrong. Just as we do with all of them. Rizal says, after staying all night to watch Wrestle Kingdom, good luck to all the UK fans staying up to watch the Royal Rumble tomorrow. Cheers, Rizal. I'm one of them. We'll be doing a live watch party. Justin says, better chance to be in the Rumble, Rock, Cena or Austin. I'm going to say Cena. Venom says, do you think KO and Sami Zayn take one of the Usos tag belts? Yes. Simon says, who do you see winning the SmackDown men's tag team tournament, Tom? The Banger Bros, and I see them losing the match. Venom says, do you see CM Punk returning to the WWE? Nope. Robs, welcome. Says, I feel SmackDown foreshadowed interaction of KO and Sami that will reveal itself at the Rumble, that it's actually Sami facing Roman, not Owens, as KO signed Sami on the contract before tossing it to him. If that happens, Sami will lay down and get pinned. It would not be fun. It would not be a fun storyline. Also, why would KO turn down a chance at both championships? Don't make much sense to me personally. Christoph says, sorry to disagree with you, Tom. Don't be sorry. Disagree with me. Go on. Go nuts. But I do think Howdy will get involved with Lexi and Bianca, not physically, but in some capacity. Callie says, hi, Tom. Sorry I'm late in tonight's live. No worries, Callie. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Hector says, so Stone Cold, a long-time Raw member, will potentially challenge for SmackDown's main title. I'm intrigued. To be fair, lots of draft, lots of swaps, lots of different opinions. John says, Nikita Lyon's injury real, and is Jimmy Uso's injury real? What's Jimmy Uso's injury? I hadn't heard about that one. Spider-Boss says, longest women's title reign in WWE, Becky at 398, Bayley at 380, Nikki Bella at 301, now Bianca with 300 days. Bianca, of course, will be overtaking Nikki Bella. Omega says, I've got Tom Colohue winning the Rumble. Thank you, Omega. I appreciate that. I will definitely be going on to challenge Austin Theory? They're all very big dudes. Spider-Boss says, I think Sami's last test is betray KO at the Royal Rumble. You can't betray someone when you're already not on their side. Eric says, if they want him to do double duties, and how about both Sami and Cody? They will not be doing so. Code says, I really do want to see Stone Cold versus Roman. Don't see how a story would be good for that. Oh, you really don't want to see that. Gotcha. Marcel says, hi, Tom. Sorry I'm late. Hope the last two in the Rumble are Sami and Cody and they all hit the ground at the same time. They will not be doing so. WrestleMania Night 1, Cody versus Roman. Night 2, Roman versus Sami. It's not going to be. Jay says, honestly, I just hope WWE start doing more with the women. It's a lot of them now, and they don't necessarily need the title at all. And if I was Becky and Bayley, I would have been upset. I would have been as well, to be completely honest with you. Simon, the New Japan women's roster is only 2 women. They will be building it over time as they bring in more people from Stardom. Jay says, get a lot of rest tonight, Tom. Your next days are busy. They are. They really are. Got a lot to do. Lot to do. Dad says, Tom, do we get Ray tonight? Do you know? I do not know. Joey says, if Stone Cold is wrestling in Mania, I want to see him in a match against LA Knight. Imagine the promos they would have. There is no intention of a match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and LA Knight. He gets 1 match per year, essentially, if he does come back, and it will be against Roman. Code says, challenge Nikki Cross for the 24/7 championship. There is no 24/7 championship anymore, though Nikki Cross is going to be in the Royal Rumble as well. Thank you for the clarification, Spider-Boss. Sean says, always a chance Roman declines doing double duty? No, there is no chance of that happening. None. Roman will do whatever he is asked to do. He's very much a company guy. Very much. Spider-Boss says, it's difficult for me to get used to saying Mercedes and not Sasha. I go with both here because I know different people say different things, and honestly, I just roll with it. Sai says, I'd love a final four of Solo, Sammy, Jimmy, and Jay, although I guess that would make the winner clear. Indeed. Indeed. It would be Jay. Simon says, my women's Royal Rumble prediction, Bayley wins. Okay, you've said that already, mate. You've said that already. Venom says, I'm hearing rumours of champion versus champion. Who from? Who's your source, Venom? Give me a source or I'm not going to read that again. Code says, Ray is facing Karrion Kross quickly, ending that feud tonight. True, sorry, forgot about that. It will be Karrion Kross versus Rey Mysterio tonight. There are 4 matches announced for tonight, none of them women's. Justin says, bold prediction, LA Knight versus Pat McAfee at Mania. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Pat McAfee is definitely going to be involved at WrestleMania. I'm confident of that. Logan Paul, we already know, will be involved at WrestleMania. Wouldn't be too surprised to see Logan Paul versus Austin Theory as an example. Okay, we have one more piece of news. And it's a biggie. Ronda Rousey is missing in action at the moment from the WWE. She is taking a pre-agreed break, though it was a very last-minute agreement. When it comes to Ronda Rousey, I previously reported that there are some issues when it comes to Ronda Rousey and Triple H. Ronda Rousey's contract does allow a certain amount of creative control, which is extremely limiting to Triple H, who is of course trying to book her in a way that is positive for the show that they are trying to host. This, of course, adds a whole new level of difficulty when you consider that there was an announcement, a piece of news that was leaked, stating, Wrestling News Co., that there was going to be a match at WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley, after winning the Rumble, sorry, pardon me, I'm going to sneeze, would be challenging Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This now has not happened. I've been asking a lot of questions about this, and while Charlotte was preparing to return, she was originally planned to return at the Royal Rumble. She was not immediately going to be winning the championship. Ronda Rousey requested time off and essentially stated, I want to drop the title and just take some time away. She has since been pitching the tag team championships between her and Shayna Baszler. I've mentioned this before. When she first returned, she was requesting to work with Shayna Baszler. There was talk of a tag team championship run. However, the WWE decided to put the top championship on her and keep it on her as best they could instead. The initial plan was, if Liv Morgan was successful and well received, she'd have a longer championship run and Ronda Rousey would turn into more of a Stone Cold anti-hero concept, then joining in with Shayna Baszler to go into the tag team division. Very, very difficult to see that happening now. Ronda Rousey is wanted at the Royal Rumble. The WWE's plan when they first gave her the time off was to have her back for the Royal Rumble. If she is not there tomorrow, Triple H has lost control. Okay? At that point, Vince McMahon would choose to get involved. I'm confident of that. So, Ronda Rousey currently missing in action. She has requested some time away. That is due to come to an end with the build towards WrestleMania. However, it's not a guarantee, and to be entirely blunt, Triple H may have lost control of the situation. Vince McMahon is still trying to pitch the idea of Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey for WrestleMania. This may be one of the reasons they took the championship away from Ronda, to basically tell Vince McMahon, you're not going to get your wish. Code says, we know the only women's segment will be Sonya begging for a title opportunity and a couple of short women's Rumble entry videos. Disappointing that you say that, but I honestly can't argue with what you said. Simon says, who do you see Gunter versus at Mania for the IC title? Said it a few times, mate. Drew McIntyre. I think Gunter versus Drew McIntyre will be the WrestleMania match for the Intercontinental Championship. Christoph says, still no Johnson's name on the next flight for San Antonio. Jay says, did they ever say why they didn't want to do Becky versus Ronda? Not mad at the decision though. Fan reception. The idea was Becky versus Ronda. The fans didn't really seem to be into it when it kept getting leaked. They made a pivot towards Becky versus Bayley, which is where we are now. Of course, another pivot has now happened based on Charlotte Flair becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion. So it's really hard to say with certainty what's going to happen anymore. Ghost says, my predictions for the Royal Rumble winners are Cody Rhodes and Bayley. Just to see all the people that bet on Rhea lose their minds. Ghost, we are exactly in sync on that one. Spider-Boss says, all this mess with Ronda. Who would have imagined that Ronda's second run in WWE would have been so disappointing? Code says, the building of the SmackDown Women's Division stopped real quick. Justin Stevens says, Gunter versus Sheamus versus McIntyre versus Strowman Fatal 4-Way at Mania is my prediction. That is a very exciting prospect you've just put together there. I like where your head is, to Justin. I absolutely love it. Code says, would have loved to see more of the Tegan and versus Xia Li type matches. Yeah, brief storyline that could at least be of interest that they could do. Razar says they could do Becky versus Ronda non-title for WrestleMania. They could. Vince is trying to. And Venom says, if Walter loses to Drew, do you think he would go to Raw, win the US title and break Dean's record with the US title? No, I don't think anyone's going to break Dean's record with the US title. The main reason that record is established is because at the time, no one wanted the United States Championship and they just weren't booking anyone to be strong enough to do so. It's more a case of he was champion because there wasn't anyone else. Sean says, Alexa took a shot at Meltzer and Alvarez in a tweet when they talked about her makeup on Raw. Yeah, Alexa will go after everyone. She's gone after Sap previously. She's gone after Meltzer. She's gone after Alvarez. She does not care. You piss her off, she's coming for you. I respect it. Spider-Boss says, could we see NXT call-ups to rebuild the SmackDown Women's Division? Eric Viveras, welcome, sir. Says, hi, Tom. Do you think with the return of Vince McMahon and the potential sale of the WWE would hinder NXT's expansion plans? At this point in time, no. When it comes to the sale afterwards, everything is on the table. I could not be more clear on this. Everything is on the table. If the WWE is sold, whoever buys it will reassess every single business decision. Every single one. Razar says, who do you think Bianca is facing at WrestleMania? Hard to tell. It really is hard to tell at the minute. I don't think there's an obvious path. Rhea Ripley would be like the clearest one, but then I do feel Beth Phoenix is going to be involved there. Justin says, will AJ Styles be ready for Mania? I think he'll be physically ready. I don't think he'll have a match though. I don't think he'll have a match at WrestleMania. Sean says, don't piss Alexa off, Tom. She will come for you. I don't piss off Alexa Bliss. I don't. So that is going to be our show. We are live again in 2 hours heading into WWE Smackdown, so be sure to check out that watch party. We are still trying to get more subscribers as we grow. If you're here and you've not subscribed yet, please do remember to hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit like as well. We have 44 likes in the end. Spider-Boss says, how long until USA Wrestling Media outlets say there is beef between Triple H and Ronda? Wait for it. It'll be behind a paywall. Thomas says, this is the most excited I've been for a Royal Rumble since AJ debuted. And C-Mac says, with this lack of women's matches, could the WWE be starting to take a Saudi perspective with the women? No. I can state categorically that is not happening. So, thank you everyone for joining me for Spoiler Warning. Hopefully see you all for the SmackDown watch party later tonight. Until then, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.